Okay, this is recorded just after the previous one, so not much more to say than the previous one. But thank you for enjoying the series and enjoying the noms, I suppose. A quick thank you to the T5 peeps. Bob the Dragon, Data Magnet, Cat Crab Lobster, Duck Machine, Try Again 95, Astray the Dreamer, Mesic, Budic Joel, German Chemist, Casper Arnholtz, and Chaos to Must. Thank you very much. Anyways, on to the story. The Care and Feedings of Humans, Part 16. Humans find trouble. Some experts feel that humans are trouble, but a statistical analysis reveals that, in actual fact, humans find trouble. This has been largely determined to be linked to their high level of curiosity. If anything strange appears in their environment, humans will initially regard it with suspicion, as all sane beings would. However, they move past the suspicion phase into the curiosity phase extremely quickly. While other species take, on average, 400 exposures to a strange stimulus before engaging in exploration, humans as a whole move from suspicion to curiosity after less than an average of 10 exposures. The speed of the conversion is faster when humans are younger, implying that experience does have some effect on the basic trait. There is no explanation for why humans feel that curiosity is highly dangerous to the feline species of their world. Dubuque, Review of Ontological Species Studies, The Care and Feeding of Humans, Curiosity Killed the Cat. Published by Gloss and Steel. The Care and Feeding of Humans, Translation Engine 3.14159. Eventually, despite the noise of the storm, people were able to get to sleep. Watch-shifts were still kept, in case the storm damaged the outer tents. By virtue of the fact that Fuzzby was on Narev's lap and she didn't want to disturb the kitten, Zoe and Narev took first watch. Narev was fascinated with the little pink pads in Fuzzby's feet. "They are called beans," Zoe said. "Why?" "I guess because they are shaped like a vegetable we have back home," Zoe said. She wasn't watching Narev or Fuzzby, but instead kept watching the stormy night. "What the?" Zoe stood up and walked to the edge of the tent, and Narev looked up to see what had caught Zoe's attention. Off in the distance, though not too far away, a light was moving back and forth, as though someone were waving a portable light. Narev quickly checked to make sure that everyone was still present in the tent. "What is that?" Narev asked. "Probably not something good," Zoe said. "It could be a natural effect of the storm, a type of ball lightning, for example. There are creatures on Earth that create lures with light, so it could be something like that is looking for a meal. It's in the general direction of the ground station. But I really hope it's just a coincidence," Zoe said. "Any special reason why?" Narev asked. Zoe sighed. "Since the storms have hit, I haven't been able to raise the ship at all. I've sent out daily mission reports, but I'm not getting any confirmation that they've been received. Our last voice transmission with them was the first day, before the storm hit, and it was laced with interference. The ground station is supposed to act as a relay, bouncing our messages to the ship. But other than the beacon showing where the ground station is located, I haven't been able to sync up with the ground station at all. That's not really concerning, since our primary mission is to replace and upgrade the battery for the station. But," Zoe looked at the light again, still gently waving back and forth. "That light isn't being waved around by the wind from the storm," Narev observed. "No," Zoe agreed. "It's not. Something else is waving it, or causing it to move. But we're not going to go chasing after it in the dark, either." Bubsby got up, stretched, and washed herself. "That's our cue to wake up the next shift," Zoe said. Narev woke up Tariff, who sat up suddenly and said, "But is it morning?" Narev ruffled his feathers. "No, silly, it's your shift." "Oh, right." Tariff scrubbed his face with his hands. I'm awake. I got this." "Good," Narev said, "because it looks like you and Nate are going to have some fun." Narev pointed to the light. "What is that?" Tariff said. "No idea. Probably something dangerous. Keep an eye on it and wake us if it gets any closer," Zoe said. Nate was stretching and yawning behind her, and then tucked his shirt in and finger-combed his hair. "No problem." "Oh," Narev said to Tariff, "I think Fubsby needs feeding too." She glanced away from the light to see Tariff holding the kitten. She had both front paws on his thumb and was determinedly chewing on him. but unable to puncture his skin with her teeth. "Yeah, I got that," Gareth said with a smile. "Nate, you hold her a minute. I'll whip something up." "Sure," Nate said, reaching for the kitten. "Whip something up for me too, would you? Not carnivore infant Formula 1, more like omnivore adult Formula 3. Gareth snickered as he passed the kitten over. "No problem, omnivore." Bubsby settled into Nate's arms and started kneading his shirt with her paws. "Ouch, cat," Nate said. "There's an arm under there." Bubsby paused at Nate's tone, and he immediately apologized. "It's all right. I'm a big tough human. I can take it. Go ahead, Fuzzball." Bubsby resumed the kneading, presumably because Nate's tone of voice had been the tone of voice that usually meant food or for pets were coming soon. In the morning, Querif and Alan woke everyone up. At least, Nerif assumed it was morning. The sky was still dark, and the storm still pounded against the tent force field. She glanced over at the light, and it was still waving gently in the dark. Alan saw her glance and shook his head. "It hasn't done anything all night, except wave back and forth." Querif, now one holding Bubsby. He was feeding her snippets of food and scritching her under her chin, which she seemed to enjoy immensely. As they were eating breakfast, Zoe said, "I think I have an idea about how to handle the storm, but I need everyone's agreement and a volunteer to test it on. We can't wait around for the storm to stop. We have to get to the ground station. The Rifts can't walk through the storm. We can't split up the party." Everyone agreed with Zoe's assessment of the situation. "It's called stuck between a rock and a hard place," Nate said. "Though with the storm, maybe we should say stuck between lightning and thunder." The lightning strike a few trees away seemed to approve of Nate's comment, and he looked a little startled. "I think we can make it to the ground station this morning," Zoe said, "but we'll need umbrellas." Querif glanced in Nerif's direction, and she shrugged. She had no idea what Zoe was talking about. "But Zoe," Alan said, "we didn't pack umbrellas, and even if we did, they would never hold up to the storm." Zoe nodded and smiled. "I think we have umbrellas," she said. "Look." Zoe picked up 2 nodes from the interior tent. This caused the interior tent to fail. But with Zoe holding 2 nodes, one in each hand, she became the new center of the tent. "I think if the Rifts carry 2 nodes, they'll basically have portable tent with them, and this will let us make it to the ground station this morning." Zoe looked at everyone, hope and doubt in her face. "What do you think? Rifts, are you willing to try it?" "I think," Querif said, "that is the most brilliant idea I've ever heard of in my life. I'll be happy to test it." Zoe handed him the nodes, and Querif took a deep breath and headed out of the perimeter of the tent. As he walked past the first set of nodes, the 2 nodes linked up with the existing nodes and flared back into the interior tent, and then died out when he walked down to the linking distance. The same flare happened as he walked through the outer ring of nodes, but when he walked further out, his nodes stayed active to each other, and the outer tent's nodes just relinked with the existing nodes. He stood outside the tent, with a node in each hand, and turned slowly, and then walked back through the tent perimeters. It was dry, except for where his feet had walked on the wet ground. "I think it works," he said with a smile. Everyone packed up quickly, and the nodes from the interior tent were distributed to each person. It was agreed that the Rifts had use of them, but that the humans would only use them while it was convenient, dropping them if they needed to pull their weapons. Bubsby was put back in a sling and given to Nerif to carry. Before the nodes for the outer tent were taken down, the remaining droid was given 2 nodes as well, front and back. "I don't know if this will help or not," Zoe said, "but it would be nice to not lose our final droid on the last leg of the journey." Once the Rifts, Bubsby, and the droids were prepared, the humans picked up the nodes from the outer ring. The wind and the rain struck hard, because they had to load up the remaining loads, and couldn't have 2 free hands holding the nodes to protect themselves during the final packing. Once the last of the nodes were packed though, everyone had 2 nodes, 1 in each hand. The last droid was steadily moving towards the moving light, and the expedition party, plus Kitten, moved along after it. Waving light disappeared as they moved closer to it, which was a relief. However, when they arrived at the ground station, no one said a word. The station was badly damaged, and none of the sensors seemed to be working at all. Nerif couldn't tell if the damage had been done by a storm, or if it had suffered the same attacks as the droids. Well, Zoe said, looking at the mess, at least we know why I couldn't sync up with the station. End of chapter. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope